So I just had my first experience with a therapist in a long, long time. The last time that I did it, I was a kid. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and it was in person back then. But this time, it was through the phone. We're having a few issues with connection in the house. It's kind of strange sometimes that happens. So I had to get out of the house. I drove. While we talked on the phone, he had to call me, and we had like a phone call. And now here I'm in a park. It was a much better place to do it anyway. It calmed me down to be around nature. But yeah, overall, I wanted to share a little bit of my experience on that first time doing it through the distance. And it wasn't as bad. Just like I've said in the past, things are worse in your head than they're in reality. And before the session, I was feeling kind of anxious. I usually feel anxious for things that I've never done before. When I'm facing the unknown, when I don't know what's gonna happen, that's when I just feel it. I don't know if that's something normal or that's just how I'm built, but I I walked myself through it. I acknowledged how I failed, but I made a decision that I was gonna go through it, and that's funnily enough where our conversation led to. At first, it was just a little bit of getting to know me, like what was my experience in high school and stuff like that, and that kind of led it to this conversation of like how to deal with feeling anxiety or just like feeling a certain way and not doing things that we know that we need to do but we don't because of how we feel. And he gave me some good advice that I'm gonna think on as the days go by, and I'm gonna apply that. But the gist of it was, if you focus on how you feel rather than the commitment that you do with yourself, you are going to fail because you're giving power to how you feel. And I'm gonna talk more on this topic in another video, but for the time being, it was a good experience. He was listening to my stories, not interrupting or anything like that. Sometimes I kind of would stop to see if he would say anything, and he was just still listening for a while, so I would just continue. But eventually, when the conversation changed to that topic of like, if I feel a certain way, how to still go through something that I promised myself that I would do it. Like in this case, I told myself, hey, I have an appointment with a therapist. I'm gonna go through it regardless. He gave the example of fitness, like when you don't feel like doing it, how to go through it anyway and still go to the gym, you know. And that applies to any kind of conversation. But yeah, and then when he was talking, it was me listening, and it was just a phone call. In the future, I'm just gonna come to the park and have the video call. It's probably gonna be a different experience when you can see each other face to face, even if it's through a phone call. But yeah, I truly need it because in this point in my life, I need a little bit of a different perspective from somebody that's not connected to me in my family or friends or anything like that. Keep you guys updated on other things that I learn in other videos and my experiences with therapy.